It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Oh, welcome to a Sunday morning. Time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes on your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles. You're listening to America's automotive radio show, Test Miles, locally created and nationally celebrated. Good morning to our team. Sean, Brad, and Jenny are here. On this morning's show, Jeff Zerschmied is going to be here from the Oregonian, who will talk about a car that debuted in 1989 at the Chicago Auto Show. And it's arguably become one of the world's most successful sports cars, the Mazda Miata, or MX-5 as it's now called. Peter Klober from the Northwest Autocraft has settled into his new spacious digs. He'll be filling us in on what cars he's been working on, and we'll also have the latest in automotive news stories. But this is the part of the show when we talk about the reviews and the cars that we've been test driving over the last week. So one of the cars that I drove happens to be the Northwest hybrid vehicle of the year, and that is the Acura RLX Sports Hybrid. A four-door sedan, abundant standard features, spacious cabin, and excellent crash test scores, as pretty much every Acura has. The bad thing about it is the disconnected steering, and it's also display screen graphics a little out of date. It has some interesting uncomfortableness in the seats, but overall, I will tell you, a very, very well put together car. 3.5 V6 is the engine, 310 horsepower, 6-speed auto, all-wheel drive, which I kind of like in a hybrid, and 24 miles a gallon combined. That's the gas version of the vehicle. Now, when you get this vehicle on the road, there's a couple of things that kind of bug me a little bit. And this is a new trend which is happening in automobiles. This is where your shifter is no longer a shifter, but it's a series of buttons in the middle of the dash.
MDX this week. Hated it.
You know, I sit there and I'm like, I have to physically look. So the idea is they made every button a different shape. So technically, if you're driving it every day, you can feel for the shape you want and press it.
I am going to drive through the Starbucks plate glass window one of these days because it's not in... I think it's stopped and in park.
Right. I have to physically look, and I have to look for the letter, and it goes D, drive. This is a circular button. Or R, reverse, have to pull back the lever. It's not intuitive. Now, we're kind of a strange bunch of people. We get to drive cars for a week. We get to evaluate them. If you're doing this on a daily basis, I'm sure over the space of 15 years, you get very used to where those buttons are.
By the time your lease is up.
Yes, or 3 years. So, that's exactly my problem with the vehicle. What does it go against? It goes up against the Infiniti. It goes up against the Lexus ES, Lincoln MKS. A lot of these cars is what the RLX goes up against. However, the hybrid version is slightly different. It does start around $60,000. I will tell you they've done a great job. So 3 motors in this vehicle. It has 2 motors in the back, actually 4 motors in the vehicle, 1 in the transmission, and then a gas engine up front. Also wanted to talk a little bit about a car I've recently been driving. That's the BMW i8 2-door. It's a 2+2 coupe. However, you'd have to be pretty small to get in the back seats.
Can you fit in the back seat?
I have fit in the back seat of this.
Comfortably?
No. Well, wait a second. I'm not your average height.
I know, but you said you had to be pretty small to fit in the back seat, so that's why I'm asking.
No, I definitely fit in the back seat.
Are we talking like even kid size, or just try and get the actual size?
Let me just think about this. No kid size. That's I am kid size. Sort of.
Teenage size.
Am I?
Yeah.
All right. So it's hard to get in the back of the vehicle. But there are a couple things that are amazing about it. First of all, you drive this thing downtown in Portland, everybody takes their phone out and takes a picture of you. The doors are the gull wing doors. They open up to the side. This thing is an absolutely amazing vehicle. 93 miles a gallon is, I think, what we were getting on the electric hybrid combined. The vehicle has the electric engine. It has the mini engine in back, which is the 3-cylinder. Now, it's a little bit of a a difficult situation because they do pump the engine sound into the vehicle and they change it somewhat. So what you hear inside the vehicle is not actually what's going on. So it sounds a little bit more Ferrari-esque than it actually is. BMW got a lot of kicks in the backside about that. But I will tell you, the i8 is the car of the future. $138,000.
So almost twice that of a Tesla.
Yes.
So?
Yeah. But I would have it.
I'd take it over a Tesla any day.
I would tell you right now, if I happened to open my wallet and find $138,000 in it I didn't need, I'd buy this car. It is stunning. I get all the attention I deserve. It's futuristic. It's well-shaped. You go anywhere, you get out of the car, and people wander over and say, "Oh, I love your car, man. It's really cool." So that's what I've been driving this week. I will tell you, the i8 definitely on my list.
So you've been very green this week.
Yes, very green.
Good boy.
Yeah, thanks. Sean, what have you been driving?
To keep on that green note, I was driving the Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, and this was runner-up to the Acura, wasn't it? In the Drive Evolution?
When you say runner-up...
in its class, I thought it was runner-up.
The second, and third, and fourth places weren't announced. However, they were... it did get a good score.
Okay, we'll keep it on that note then. But it's a four-door mid-size sedan, and there's some great things. Like the Hyundai actually... People are so worried about their batteries or giving lifetime battery or replacement for this car.
I always worry about the word lifetime.
Well,
is Brad's lifetime, my lifetime, very different
probably
things.
lifetime of the first.
You've got a long ways to go to get to my lifetime. I feel pretty fulfilled at this point.
At least for the car, clearly, if it's my lifetime, it's going to last 100 years. Brad's a couple of years.
Yeah, who knows? But anyways, I mean, they just give there's a lot of great benefit with owning this car. I was getting 44 miles to the gallon. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The trunk space was just kind of what blew me away because having the Accord hybrid a little bit ago, there's no trunk space. But it's amazing how big the trunk actually is and how much you can fit in there with a hybrid system. I expected to open it and just have nothing there, but it goes back there. 2-liter GDI 4-cylinder engine, has 193 net horsepower. It's so easy to actually drive this vehicle that I really like it. I do think it's fit for people Brad's age versus, a younger buyer, but it's a nice vehicle. It goes up against the Camry, Accord hybrid, Fusion. The only down I have with this car is that the navigation screen was smaller than my cell phone. It's a little tiny, and it was hard to see in the sunlight.
I think it was like 3 inches or something.
Yeah, but I mean, with the cost of
small.
It was smaller than my Galaxy S5.
Yeah, I got that was probably the chief complaint about that vehicle. I think it probably comes with a bigger screen.
But it was also a little harder. Yeah, it has the upgrade navigation screen, but for a stock system, and I think how much navigation screens cost nowadays, they should just put it in there.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, it's a great vehicle. It's a must-own.
So you can go over to Mobile West. You just buy the base one, and then you go to Mobile West.
Northwest Autocraft.
Excuse me, you're right.
But I think the problem, though, with this is that it's integrated into the actual dash, and I think it'd be a little hard to actually...
No, you know what? Peter would get his guys with a hacksaw, and they'd replace that thing, no problem.
Make it look pretty and awesome.
You done?
Yeah.
Price was? What do we talk about price?
You can actually get into one for $26,000.
All right, Brad.
I didn't go green. I went bright red. Sexy, fun. I had the VW Golf GTI.
Excellent.
And I was actually on the very first press launch for this car back in 1983 in Santa Barbara. They used to do a really fun ad. They would
1983, how long ago is that?
4 or 5 years ago.
All right.
It's the new math.
So you know what we just learned there? Brad is actually living in the late 80s. So carry on.
That's right. But this car is really fun. In our little group here, we have differing opinions. And I think I am nostalgic about this car. So I was preconceived to really like it. So I overlooked a few of the things. So we'll start with the negatives. It's the off-mentioned low-tech part of Volkswagen.
Right.
Which includes no USB ports.
Right.
So I had to go find my adapter for my phone cord.
It is the North American car of the year, though.
It's great, but it starts in the mid-20s, goes up to $34,000. It is really fun to drive, and the Burberry seats were my favorite. Substantially comfortable for a big guy like me.
Wait till you drive the Golf R.
That's its main competition is itself.
Yeah, your head will spin. But for $40,000, the Golf R. What did it start at?
It starts in the mid-20s.
All right.
And you can get a fairly well-equipped one for $25,000.
I would also own that car if I found $138,000 for the BMW i8 and then an extra 20.
And low would get to drive the GT.
Infinite income, we'd own a lot of cars here.
Yeah, I know. Well, we can, you know what? Test driving is free, imagination is free. That's what I say. You're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. Coming up, we're going to talk about the 2016 Mazda Miata. Jeff Zerschmied from the Oregonian going to be here. He's going to tell us about the history and the car and the new one and how it drives and how exciting it is. We'll have Peter Clover from Northwest Autocraft to talk about what he's been working on and the latest news stories in automotive. I'm Nick Miles.